Hey guys, it's Nicole and welcome back to another process video by JustNick. Today's layout, it was made with the May Hip Kits from Hip Kit Club. And here's my page. This kits have a lot of great products like chickenity crafts, and there's also some pink paisley in there and lots of fun stuff. So let's get started. I started off actually with the idea that I would use this happy die cut from one of the freebies I designed for the Hip Kit Club forum. And I just cut it out of some watercolor paper, and then I decided I was going to watercolor it in a green watercolor, kind of like darker all the way up to light to the top happy there. So I'm just adding some water to my green, or not water, white to my green as I kind of go upwards. The worst part about this is not that I did it, it didn't turn out quite like I wanted it to, is that I actually don't even use this. So it's I think I end up overworking the green a little bit. I had some of that darker green in, it doesn't really go, and then it just wasn't turning out kind of the way I wanted it to. And I kind of tried to blot off some of the green because it was just too bright. And not the right kind of green. I probably need to do this more in the yellow shades, I think, in hindsight now, versus the green. But at any rate, I just kind of leave it and put it aside and think maybe later on I'll love it more. So I'm just going to throw that to the side and let it dry. And then I decide I'm going to pull out some of my, just a die cut that I had already cut in my stash. This is the one I designed for my cut file shop. This one's called Funky Pie Charts, and I actually cut it out of Silhouette brand adhesive cardstock, and it's kind of sticky on one side, and it's good for something like this where you want to, well, what I want to do is fill in all those little pie pieces. So my blade wasn't exactly sharp, so that's why I'm kind of fooling around with picking out those little pieces there. Normally they just pop right out, but it was time for me to change my blade when I cut this, and I did not. And this is what you get. You have to fool around a bit. People get so frustrated with their silhouette sometimes, and I think it's truly the user that should be frustrated, and not, they should blame themselves, not the machine. Yeah, sometimes it's the machine, but I find a lot of the time it's people picking the wrong cut settings, or not having a sharp enough blade or a sticky enough mat. And there's Addie's hand. She just was showing me her craft. And so it's actually my first layout I had done with the hip kits, and so I really like these chickenity craft, the paper pad pieces that are in the embellishment add-on. So I'm just sticking down the cardstock onto some of the patterns and trimming them off, just to kind of create my pie chart there. I'm really not great with full pieces of paper. I do a lot better when I have just small bits. I feel like I am able to kind of be more creative. Otherwise, I feel like I'm just kind of doing the same old thing all the time. So yeah, I don't know if anybody else feels that way, but I certainly do. Especially right now, I think I get into a funk every once in a while where maybe I do too much scrapbooking, and then next thing you know, it's like, oh boy, everything's the same. And I do feel like I like how this page turned out, but I do feel like it's kind of something that I probably have done before or done kind of similarly, but I guess that's kind of okay too. Like, it's okay to recreate something that you've done. I didn't intentionally do that, but at any rate, I'm just going to continue along filling up these pie charts with all the different papers. And the good thing about these paper pad pieces in the kit is that they're double-sided. So you can see here, this one was orange with the blue on the other side. So you're not like cutting up 18 different patterns of paper. You're just using one, and both sides gets you two, so that's pretty good. So I finished filling in most of the spaces in the pie charts, and I did leave some empty spaces open. And of course, I will add foam adhesive to the back because I add foam adhesive to everything. I should probably buy stock in Pop Dots or some other sort of foam adhesive because I do use them that much. It's kind of crazy, but I don't know, it's like the cheap way to add a lot of dimension without a lot of work too. So This is another one of my photos here. It's of my son when I think he was about 2 years old. And this is one of my old photos I had ripped off of layouts. So if you've watched my videos before, the last couple of videos I've done actually were using older photos. And so I'm just trimming it down, matting it onto some different papers in the kit, and just randomly trimming it off with my scissors, and then trying to make the straight edges a little more messy, because the other edges were messy. That way it looks like it was supposed to be that way. And then as you can see here, my die cut title kind of just fades into my background, and I really didn't want to change my background. I liked that white and black polka dot, so I added it onto some of the vellum from the kit. And again, trying to make those straight edges look messy. And then I stick it down, but you know, it's still too light. And I guess what I should have done is cut that happy, happy, happy out of a pattern paper. It probably would have been a lot better, but wasn't working for me. I think it was the green, part of the green was not the right color. And then it was just fading in too much. It just wasn't, maybe it was too big, I don't know. It wasn't working for me. So I'm just going to play around with these pie charts, figure out where I kind of want to have them. And then I actually pull back to my 6x6 paper pad pieces. You get one of each design in the embellishment add-on kit, so I didn't get the full paper pad, but that's okay. There's still quite a bit of paper here. I'm just going to trim up some of these mini journaling cards. I suppose in the normal sheets of Chickenity, they're probably large size, but they're just miniature, which is kind of a fun thing about 6x6 paper pads, is you get those smaller size pieces that are, you know, not normally quite so small. So I like that. That's kind of cool. And then I decided I wanted to be artsy, or at least attempt to be artsy, and put some paint in behind my photo. So I grabbed my Jelly Bean Soup Happy Hues paints, and this one here is a green color, and then there's a really pretty yellow, and then an orange, and I'm trying to decide which one I want to use, because all those colors are in the papers in my pie charts. And I'm going for kind of a boyish feel, obviously, so I choose something more masculine. And then I end up deciding to go with the yellow color. I find it's not exactly a good match to that yellow in the papers, but it's pretty close. And I end up covering some of it anyway, so it's not a super big deal. But because I'm not super artsy, what I should have done is try to make this look more messy, because then it looks like it was intentionally supposed to be that way. But no, I try to paint like a really nice square, and I think it looks better when it's not messy. That's the wrong word, but intentionally, I'm going to call it intentionally messy, because it looks awesome when some of the other girls I know do it, but I seriously suck. I am not artsy in that sort of way at all. And I totally appreciate those people who are. So anyways, I trimmed this down, and I'm going to back this onto some cardstock, and for a while here I stick with this blue, and I don't end up with the blue, but I'm going to stick this down on there and stretch it out, because that paint will warp the paper. So I do that, and then I kind of go ahead and try again to fool around with where I want to have all those pie charts. Maybe I just cut them too big, I don't know. They were already pre-cut, so I kind of didn't. I was limited a bit. And I'm going to pop dot my photo with foam adhesive, because that would be something that I don't normally do, right? Ha ha ha. And then I decide to grab, I really like that I love you card, but just didn't work. It was too square, I think, because of the circles in the pie charts, and then you got the circles in the background. So this is where I start to have my first, other than the happy, happy, happy issue, my first little bit of problem with this page. Like, I did have put a lot of effort into this page, which is not how I like it to be. I like to kind of just flow out of me like an idea, and I just kind of go with it. But truth be told, it took a little bit of effort, and so I decided to grab the Project Life kit. This is actually the add-on kit, and I grabbed these Project Life cards. And I'm just using them as like a layering element, and I decided this photo needs just something black there to ground the patterns in the paper that I had. And then I tucked just some pieces of the journaling cards, the other smaller ones in there, in behind the photo. And then I'm going to grab some of this washi tape here off this Dear Lizzie washi tape book. It's a super fun idea, actually. Instead of rolls and rolls and rolls and rolls you'll have forever, like I have a jar of washi tape. And I swear I will never run out of washi tape, probably as long as I live. Unless I were to give it to my daughter, because Addie loves playing with my washi tape. She thinks it's like fantastic, and she washi tapes everything. She washi tapes every piece of paper that I give her, and she washi taped her little like pretend kitchen she has, and oh my word, she's funny. But yeah, so I'm gonna rip off some pieces of these cards here and just stick this in behind my photo and layer it up a little bit. That's my tip for layering without adding bulk, is just little tiny bits of paper. And then I'm just going to sew this kind of, just a little bit of that down. That's what I'm doing off camera. There is my flappy arm in the way. And a little bit of my hair. Happily this time my head doesn't get in the video. And I'm just going to trim some of this off and add my photo down. And then I'm going to start sticking stuff down. I get to a point in my whole process where things aren't kind of working 100% the way I intended them to do. I feel like I just need to, well, I've told other people this, and if Oriel or Isabella are watching this, they'll know what I'm talking about. You just have to cut and commit. You just have to cut it and stick it down. Sometimes you just can't worry about it, because you know what? In the end, it's really just one scrapbook page. It's not, it's not the end of the world if it doesn't turn out exactly how you want it. So in this case, that's pretty much what ends up happening is, you know what, I've cut this, I've already made these pie charts, I'm just going to stick them down. And although this white background was stuck down, I decided to cut it off because that blue it went with that darker blue in the pie charts, but it just wasn't working for me. So I end up going to one of these green sheets here from Pink Paisley, and I'm going to go with this one here. And I'm just going to trim it down a little bit more so that that green around the edge really comes through more than it had. And I'm happier with that. I do like that. I like the pattern. It kind of goes with the whole pie charty type thing. You can see those lemon slices type things that are in there. And then there's that pie charty kind of pattern in there too. So it kind of goes with it. So I do like that background a lot better than the blue that I had initially. I'm going to add a little bit more of this washi tape onto the other side of the photo because I probably should have done that earlier and I just didn't. And then this is where I start to have a little bit more trouble with this page. Not that it's a huge amount of trouble, but I have this wonderful word and I have a hard time choosing a photo. I kind of play around with these chicken eating letters and I thought, oh, I could put wonderful you. That's just kind of boring. I really need help in the title department, so if anybody has any ideas, please give me a shout out and let me know, because I find that's the hardest part of my whole process is choosing a photo, a title. And sometimes I think if I had a title chosen before I start the page, and sometimes I do, sometimes I get like a brainwave and I have a title already ready to go, and I actually think the layout comes together better if I have a title ahead of time. So if you're good with words and you got some tips for me, please leave me a comment, let me know what they are, because I honestly, sincerely would appreciate it, because it's definitely one of my weak spots that I like finding a title. My husband is tired of me saying, what do you think I should call this page, or what do you think this photo says, or give me some words. And yeah, it's just a problem. So I'm just going through my die cuts here from the Pink Paisley's Citrus Twist or Citrus Bliss pack, and I've picked some of these lemon slices out again. I'm going to kind of use some of those. They kind of go with those pie charts like I said earlier, and I'm going to move things a little bit because I do that. And I play around with a title. I kind of start off with that word happy there, but that's pretty generic, and like I said, it's pretty boring, and I know that, so I end up moving that down just a smidge. And then I kind of get frustrated, to be honest, and my video runs out. So pretty soon will be all over. And I did come back and finish off the page, but sometimes you just have to take a break from it. And you can see I'm just adding some of those Evilicious Puffy stickers from the kit. And I'm playing around with these die cuts here and trying to decide what I want to do. And then I end up going back and grabbing that die cut Wonderful because I really liked how that stretched across the whole bottom of the photo. I just knew I couldn't leave it white. So what I end up doing is grabbing my watercolor paint, as you'll see in a minute here, and I just kind of watercolored it orange, which kind of goes with that orangey or that lemony green or red, yellow color. Holy, I can't even talk. And yeah, so I finished off my title with the chicken A letters, and here's those pie charts, and here's my completed page. So yeah, thanks so much for watching. I hope I didn't talk your ear off, and if you want to see more of my work, just head over to my blog, justnick.blogspot.com, and like I said, I'll put a link in the comment section to my cut file store if you're interested in this one. Otherwise, I'll see you again next time with another video. Have a great day.